Mark, are you a cyclist and do you live in the Pennines? Is the question.
I'm a cyclist, and I do live in the Pennines.
Well, there you go, that makes two of us today. So come on, let's do a ride. So let's have a look at this ride today. First of all, that's where we are in the UK. And secondly, it's going to be a 30-mile ride in my local hills. Which means one thing, it's going to be tough with some long climbs and some fast descents. With a total elevation gain of just short of 3,000 feet. In fact, we climbed 2,926 feet today, which is 891 metres. And the main feature of the ride will be crossing the impressive Scammonden Bridge. It's also known as the Rainbow Bridge, or locally the Brown Cow Bridge. It crosses the M62 at a height of over 120 feet, and it spans over 200 metres in length across the motorway. And at the time of completion, it was the longest single-span, non-suspension bridge in the world. And looking at the ride in a bit more detail, there's going to be 6 key sections we're going to focus on today. And the first being the climb of Huddersfield Road on the A640. This is a nice little local climb, which is quickly followed by the very fast descent to Denshaw. And after that we make our way onto the third section, which is still on the A640, onto the Buckstones Moss climb, where we then take a left onto the B6114 on the approach to Scammonden Bridge itself. And the final 2 sections takes us onto the turnpike lanes in blue, and then the big climb back up the A58 to Blackstone Edge, and then the descent back into Littleborough. And again, with the wind in your favour, that can be a super fast descent. So there you have it, there's the ride, all mapped out for you. So let's get back on the road, with me and my mate Mark, about to start the first climb of the day. So yes, we are cyclists, and we live in the Pennines, and I'm off out with my mate Mark. We're both on our best bikes, because the weather's really good for the end of March. And today I'm going up one of my favourite little climbs out of Newhay, and what it's got at the top is a wicked little fast descent. What, isn't it?
Overlaid. I didn't need long sleeves today.
So what we're thinking today is we're going to go and get into Denshaw. You can go left to Windy Hill, we're going to go straight across and do the Buckstones Road climb. And on the top of there you can take a left fork to that fantastic arch-shaped bridge that goes over the M62. It's a long way up, Mark.
Just for a fat lad.
You know we're only joking, Mark. Well, on a serious note, it is quite a long way up, and I'll give you some information about the climb right now. So yes, this is the climb out of Newhay, and in the grand scheme of things, it's not that long. The total length is 1.6 miles, with an elevation gain of 561 feet. So when you get to the summit, you're just over 1,100 feet above sea level. It's 6.5% average gradient and a maximum gradient of 8.5%. It's classed as a third category climb, and to get a KOM up here, you need to be under 6 minutes and 30 seconds, and to get into the top 10, you need to be under 7 minutes. Well, anyway, let's get back to the ride. But we'll get there, won't we, Mark?
Not far now. 150 yards.
And then it's a sudden crest, and possibly 50 mile an hour on the other end. Hey up! Okay, let's do this descent. Hiya! There's Mark in front, 30 miles an hour. He's got big gears on his bike. 38, 39, 40, right-hander, cut into the inside, this feels quick, 46, 47, 47, right-hander, oh yes, 44, woo! So go on, Mark, what did you max out at then?
When I didn't have my eyes closed, I think it was 49 miles an hour.
Did you get 49?
I think so.
Well, I was right behind you, I had 47 point something. So just shy of 48 miles an hour, that ain't too bad. You certainly know you're alive at them speeds. But I had to get ahead to get the next shot, so I'm not showing off here, I'm just passing these two cyclists. And that's the joy of making these videos. You spend half your time on your own looking for the next best shot. But we'll come back to them cyclists later on. It's also popular with motorbikers up here too. So we're now climbing the A640. It's a perfect day. It's 21 degrees, believe it or not. Mark's overdressed. I've got a layer underneath and I'm way too hot also. It's a nice gentle climb all the way up. Dare say in a big ring today as well. However, Mark's on a big ring with 53. So on the descents he's got an advantage. But on the climbs he's got some big gears to push. And just look at that for a view. These are perfect cycling conditions. So Mark is way down the road at this point, and the reason why is because when I went back to get the cameras on the climb, I bumped into the cyclist again in the yellow jacket, and he turned out to be a viewer. So we had a nice long chat.
Mike W.
I am Mike W.
You may find me on some of your likes if I don't know how you get into it.
Well, thank you. I do appreciate it.
Oh, only recently I got into it.
Oh, right.
They're very good.
Oh, thank you. I try my best. That's what happened then. I weren't showing off. I was trying to get ahead of my mate.
Oh, right.
To get the next shot. So you're always up and down the road.
Yeah. What have we done? It's gone past in front.
Yeah, in black.
I was talking to him about there.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks Mike, I really enjoyed spending some time on the climb up there with you. But I had to get back onto this high level plateau and catch back up with Mark. Now along here you're around 1450 feet above sea level, and the highest point is just ahead at just under 1500 feet. And with a pushing wind I was able to cruise along here at up to 33 miles per hour. And I could see Mark in the distance as a little dot. And with him clearly in my sights, I had to keep on moving now. This was definitely worth a trip into the hurt locker for a few seconds. Here's a little climb. I've got to really dig in now, get some power through the pedals. I don't stand up, I just really go for it and keep digging in. And the final few hundred metres just seems to take forever. But in the end we get there, we get together, we can all regroup, and we can get ready for the next section of the ride, and it's a peach of a descent all the way down to Scammonden Bridge. Oh. Okay, we've took a left off the 640 onto the B6114. We might get a cross tailwind here. We've got fantastic views all around of the whole of West Yorkshire. This is 37 miles an hour, nice and straight. 38. That's 41. 42. 43. Well, let's have a look at some data, and here is my data from the ride. If we look at the graph there highlighted in yellow and the angle of the slope, It's not actually a very steep descent, and what it demonstrates is that we're carrying a high level of speed along this road. For long periods I was cycling at around 40 miles per hour, maybe going to 38s, back up to 39s and 40s. And it really is hard to cycle at this pace. It's basically down to the faster you go, the more power you need to cut through the air. And you know it's fast when all you can hear is that great sound of your tyres running along the tarmac. I just think it's fantastic. And just skipping further on down the road, at 16 miles into the ride, we're actually approaching the Scammonden Bridge. As you can see there, you've got the big high barriers. And we're cruising along here at a pretty good pace. And unbeknown to me, Mark was further back down the road.
Well, that was fast all the way down here then. In the high 38s, 39s and 40s I came down here at 40. There's the M62 going westbound, eastbound that way. We're really high up, it's pretty scary looking down there. And here comes my mate Mark.
And so, having safely managed this high-speed descent, we took a left turn, passing by the Ring of Stones Reservoir, with Booth Reservoir in the distance. And shortly afterwards, we took a right down Withens End Lane. And now that is a dirty lane. It's covered in muck, debris and all kinds of sludge. And you don't want your best bike getting covered up in that kind of stuff.
Well, we're just coming down this road and it really is horrible. It's mucky, it's got farm muck and like a green algae on it. Looks treacherous. That's a big dam, isn't it? So if you look over my shoulder, that's the bridge we've just been over at 40 odd mile an hour. It's quite an iconic bridge actually. It's always featured on like road cops and all that, you know, the police doing documentaries. It's up and down this motorway.
So let's just have a recap at where we are so far. And at 18 miles we're at Boothwood Reservoir, just near the Turnpike pub, which leads us on to the Turnpike lanes.
Oh, this is steep! I can't slow down! Big left-hander! I think there's a car round the corner. Yep. Another really steep descent this. Bit of a corkscrew. Left-hander, then a right-hander. And then we go left. A nice big hairpin bend, Mark.
Now looking at Mark's cadence there, he was turning a big gear there. Unfortunately on this bike, I've got a compact setup and it makes light work of these hills. But it got up in one piece and that's all that counts.
And you can make out the road on the right, we just come down. Really good countryside this. There's Mark. And that's the route we're going to do. Up that pylon run, and that is where I rode on my last video coming down there at 47 and 48 miles an hour. Woohoo!
And so here we come to the final descent of the day, the descent of Blackstone Edge. Here's Mark on the front, and it was never going to be super fast today, because the wind was in totally the wrong direction. For long periods down here, we were cruising at around 34 and 35 miles per hour. We occasionally hit 38 around this part. I come through just to take the wind now for Mark, get on the front. We've got a nice left-hander. Look at that for a fantastic view ahead, and there's Hollingworth Lake in the mid-ground there. And the road continues to bear left, and you've got to carry the pace and be aware of the side winds as this road starts to take some major corners. I'm giving Mark the elbow, he comes through, he does his bit on the front, again a slight left-hander, and then we go to a right-hander. I'm tucking in just behind Mark's shoulder, and I'll come through shortly. Again, we've got a really big right-hand corner here, and on its day this can be pretty scary fast. I had a feeling though, once we got round this corner, the speed would pick up a bit more, and in fact it did, and this is where we maxed out at 40 miles per hour. Let that car come by, and it's time for me to come through again and help Mark out on the front. I look over my shoulder, just slightly tucking in there. Got this right-hander, and it's quite long and straight before the next left-hander and the Moorcock pub. Always be mindful of cars on the left there that could pull out on the side. And we're now entering a 40 miles an hour zone. Keep it tucked in, hug that inside corner, and just carry the pace the best you can. This can be the fastest section on this descent with a good tailwind, and you can reach over 50 miles per hour here. But today it wasn't to be. Here comes Mark now, coming back through onto the front. I'll get behind him, get myself out of the wind, and that's basically the descent done. And what a cracking ride we had. In fact, to make this ride 30 miles, we did a little local loop, because when we got to the village, we were at 27 miles.
Well, that were a great descent, not too fast though, were it, Mark?
No, too much of a headwind.
Yeah, the headwind killed it, but it felt good. Well, that brings this ride to an end. Won't be far off 30 miles when we're finished. Probably about 2,500 feet, Mark. That's not bad going, that.
Well, it was 30 miles in the end, and with almost 3,000 feet of vertical gain, that works out as 1,000 feet for every 10 miles, which makes for a pretty tough ride in our local hills. And we could feel it in our legs by the time we'd finished. But if you like these videos, let me know and I'll make some more for you. And thank you for watching. I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines, and so is my mate Mark.
Mark, are you a cyclist and do you live in the Pennines?
I'm a cyclist and I do live in the Pennines.
Well, there you go, that makes two of us today. Let these cars go by, we'll catch them up. And it'll a good descent. We're just going to let these cars go by because we're going to catch them up. You know, we can get some good speed here. Do you mind if I film, yeah? Do you mind if I film?
No, you go.
I'm going to have to catch my mate up. But
I don't charge celebrity fees.
Alright. So, what's your name?
Well, that's it for this video, people, but be sure to stay tuned for the next one, because at last group rides are back on, and I'll be going out with Owen and the guys to Cheshire, to a famous haunt of ours called the Cranford Cafe and Sandwich Bar.
Very nice.
And it was great to be back out with the guys again. Until the next time, people.
It's a long way up, Mark.
Just for a fat lad.